All right, so hello and thanks for joining the session. Today we're going to be looking at continuing work on Astrocasts bot. So far we have only been able to tick off a couple of things here. It looks like Feral Bob is saying that they're working on a iPad app for sort of controlling their overall stream presence. Sort of where this is going, for anybody who hasn't been following along the entire way, I've already sort of started this sort of process. I have a little interface here that currently shows not a very accurate, or well, it's not that it's not accurate, it's just that right now it's on a cron job, so it can only look I think every 15 minutes is where I'm at on that. But what it does do is it gives me a nice big green ring when the site is actually live. I also have chat people across Discord, Twitch chat, and Google. And I want to be able to, or YouTube rather. So what I want to do is be able to see all of this information. Oh, see, it just updated. So we have some Twitch viewers showing up now. What I'd like to do is be able to see everybody that's involved. And I want to be able to use this sort of as a way for me to say, hey, if this ring is green, I know the stream is online, it's up and interactive. I can see how many viewers I have on the various platforms. If people send me messages while I'm going, I have exactly one window to look at, which is super useful. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I also want to be able to paste things like links into here. So say, and then I want to be able to pin that link to the episode that's currently broadcasting, so that at the top of the list there can be essentially show links that would be available. So that's kind of the long-term goal with this bot. With the bot, I can also do some things to bypass my current Heroku limitation of not being able to do cron jobs more than every 15 minutes. I could actually set up something to watch the Twitch viewers and the YouTube viewers more frequently, which would help with this quite a bit. The other thing I was mentioning kind of offline was Elgato Stream Deck. I'm not actually going to pull that up. That's going to be one of the other things that I have at my disposal. But in addition to this, which this green ring shows me that the stream is online, I also want to be able to know whether or not I've pressed record on Audio Hijack. More often than I would like to admit, I've actually started sessions and gotten about 10 minutes in before I realized that I haven't actually pressed this button as well. You'd think after 80 or so sessions I would not forget, but I still do. But what I would like to do is build a audio unit plugin. I have something called Audio Kit, I believe. Kit. It's an Audio Kit tool that lets you build these audio unit things pretty easily. So what I'd like to do is, these are just individual Audio Kit plugins. So I'd be able to add something into my stream to essentially broadcast via WebSocket sort of the levels. What are the levels at this point in time? So I should be able to build either a mini waveform or something here so that I could look at this quickly and see that, hey, it's a flat line. Maybe there's going to be a big red square or something that'll know that, hey, it's not actually going. So that's kind of the long-term goal of this interface for me, is making this whole thing a little easier. But in the meantime, we are starting out by capturing chat messages on IRC. So let's get back here. We did manage to break out the session chat messages from where they had been handled before. What we were doing in the Twitch driver up till previously was in here. When we got a private message, we actually used the Doctrine Object Manager to store a brand new session chat message entity. I don't really want to do that. I don't want that to be here. I think this is something that should be handled elsewhere. So what we did was we sort of enhanced our bot so that it is both an event emitter and also starts to have some useful functions on it. So here we have record chat message. We have a new chat message DTO, which is what we're referring to here. It's just a plain object. We have a named constructor for create for Twitch, which really just sets this for us automatically. So I'm going to have one of those for each of the platforms we do. If we go into bots record chat message, it simply records a session chat message from chat message and dispatches that on the command bus. This means that it will then be picked up on the other side of the queue using our consumer. So the bot is really going to be free to respond to things and look at incoming data as quickly as it can. It's not going to do anything, well, it's not going to do a lot with the database real time as stuff happens. At least that's kind of my goal. I don't want it to be stuck trying to do a bunch of things when it should be listening to input. So the thing that we want to do is, well, there was two things that we wanted to do. If we look at the Twitch driver, we actually were doing something else here previously. We were, when the stream went online, we were trying to write a message into IRC chat that said, or Twitch IRC chat, we are live with this URL. That was cute. It was nice to sort of see where we were going with this, but it's not actually all that useful. I don't think that's what we want to do for all of the chat systems. So I'm going to remove that for now. What we really need and what we really want is just to know this current stream data. We just want to be able to track what the current stream is. So we want to know when the stream is online to set the data, and then to not, or to set the data to null when the stream goes offline. The trick is that if I now go and start the bot, well, let's just start it anyway. Because, well, no, let's go ahead and consume messages. It's going to be busy, maybe. I'm going to publish do app Twitch publish metadata. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing with Heroku. So what this is going to do is refresh our OAuth tokens. This is something that we're eventually going to have to fix on the bot level. So I'm going to run the bot now, and since the stream is already online, the IRC bot no longer doesn't do anything because we'd look to see if we have a current stream. So if we don't have a current stream, we don't do anything. So the idea is if people chat in the chat message or chat in the IRC channel for my Twitch channel, I'm not going to do anything unless I can attach it to a live stream that we're aware of. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is I want to start doing some hosting. And those chat messages I don't care about. And so I only want to know if it's a stream that Astrocasts itself is aware of. But right now, if someone types something in to the IRC chat channel, it's not going to do anything. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll say, hello, test. I'm actually going to use TC for this. I'm only going to spam the Twitch channel. People on Twitch can feel free to write messages as you see fit. Just know that it might crash the bot every once in a while, which is fine. So I'm just going to write something in real quickly here. And our bot, if I'm right, saw the message come in, but it's not going to do anything about it. So it didn't actually try to send a message at all because it doesn't think the stream is online. Crashing the bot. Yes. Fortunately, you did not, Joe. Throughout this episode, though, if you're chatting live, it may crash things, but that's totally fine. It'll be more fun that way. All right, so the trick we need to do is find a way to tell all of the drivers, or to essentially give this stream online message, send this event, if the stream is actually online when the bot is available. So what I want to do is go back to Stream Manager and see how we're doing that. So we have Stream Manager, we have bring session offline, and we have bring session online. We have a stream when online function, our event, which I think is what we need. So let's go ahead and go to the event handler for that. So event message handler, event, stream when online. Where do we have that? Stream went online handler. Interact with pusher when stream went online. So we're doing we broke these out into a bunch of different things. It looks like what's happened here. So let's do interact with pusher. This is actually the data we're using. So stream went online, push stream is online. All right, so here is the tricky bit. This is the information that we need to get. So I don't want to have to maintain this bit of code in two places. So I'm going to create a new function on Stream Manager that generates this for us. So let's go ahead and do Stream Manager get current stream details. All right, so let's do that. This doesn't exist. All right, we'll do get current stream details. We're possibly going to pass back null, otherwise it's an array. And just return this value. So we no longer need to do this stream manager because we're already a stream manager. There we go. So in theory now, all we've done is move this functionality from one location to another. So I think we'd be all good with this. The way we can use this is to fake having this data sent in the bot. So if we go back to our bot, we have configure loop. So I'm going to now add stream manager here. All right. Cool. So now that we have Stream Manager, what we can do at this point, after we've configured the drivers, is look for the information from the Stream Manager. So we can do, actually, let me double check the pusher driver to see what this was doing. So configure driver. So we're going to do this same thing here. We're going to copy that. And in configure, we're going to say current stream manager, current stream details. So if we have data, we'll do one thing, otherwise we'll do the other. So we'll emit current stream. Otherwise, we'll emit stream offline. And since we're doing this after the drivers have registered themselves, they should pick this up no problem. In this case, we're going to do that as well. I think that works. Okay, so let's see if we can start the bot. All right, so the bot's up and running. Now, if I chat something in here, what should happen is we should start seeing stuff going on here. On this side, it's still going to crash. I'm still expecting this to crash because we need to do some migrations on our model for this to work. But let's go ahead and see anyway. Here we go. And ouch. All right, so something isn't quite working as expected. I'm going to print our current stream. Oh, so it does have that information, so it should have been fine. Question is then, is it something that was going on in the Twitch driver? Could have been something in here. So we don't have an error handler, so let's do function e. What I really should do is start using a logger, but I'm old school and I can't change my ways. Let's see here. So it doesn't look like it's even getting that far. There's something else. So we do get stream online. So at least at this point, that's there. Let's make sure the data is actually coming all the way. Yes, it is. All right, so all right, so we do have message. It's not doing anything after that. So let's see, we have message. We aren't getting an error. So this all worked pretty well yesterday. as you'd expect, it doesn't today, which is rather annoying. Then let's do maybe this isn't doing anything. Well then, so this looks like it is actually working. Let's see, so we get the message. The problem was that this doesn't appear to be doing anything useful. So I'm not seeing the messages queuing here. All right, so dispatching the message. let's go check our queue and see if there's something weird there. All right, so M-Dolls is saying something that isn't funny if it's true, hoping it's not. Well, it's depending on, yeah. Let's see here. So this isn't actually getting onto the queue. That's the problem. Need to. Where's this at? There isn't anything different about that. So this is not happening. So we have everything going to AMQP. Oh, I didn't turn that off, did I? No. All right, so let's check out Symfony Messenger. How to use it. Here we go. No. It's exactly what I was hoping for, but not. I wonder if there's... I'm thinking that it could be related to sort of that problem. I wonder if there's something like in terminate. The message in PHP. So this is kind of an ongoing problem with SwiftMailer, that you have to actually tell it to flush the queue, otherwise it won't actually send. It's actually hooked to tie in when the HTTP request terminates, but I'm not doing that. So I'm wondering if there's something that I need to tweak. I know I can send commands from the console. Let me look at that. So it's doing some stuff. Application run. Where's that? All right, so let's open application. Run, where's run? Do run, it's probably in here. So it's the kernel, which we're probably doing. Parent do run. default command. Try running the command. Ugh. Command find. This might be a rabbit hole I shouldn't be going down. Where's run? Not do run, but actual run. Symfony, here we go. So they have finally. All right, so I'm going to try having the bot emit a different event. So we can, or a different command bus event, or different command rather, just to see if this is related to this DTO or not. So we have commands, let's do publish metadata. This way we can see if this is related to our code or if it's something else entirely. We need to figure out if it's the AMQP messenger or something else. So it's something in our code. So it was able to publish metadata. So it started handling and it finished handling it. And we can see that it actually made it to the consumer. So this says, unfortunately, that there's something wrong with this. Which is annoying. So let's do command equals all right, so I wonder if it's this. So I haven't tried using a date time before. It shouldn't matter, but who knows? So we're not actually going to store it. I've had a lot of problems with the serializer in Symfony, where it works most of the time, but then sometimes it just fails horribly for reasons that aren't very obvious. All right. Actually surprised it still has it here. Is this the problem? Oh. So one of the things I had to do to get the serializer working was to add a constructor. Otherwise it wouldn't deserialize the message. Problem is this didn't do anything with that. So this is actually failing. So I don't know how React PHP was supposed to have handled this, but I'm guessing this is actually a fatal error, or I'm not even sure what kind of error this is. Point is, it should not be working. From chat message. And then what was the last value? Session ID. So this was from the last session. Toward the end, we weren't able to get the messages deserialized. They were deserializing with null values for everything without having this constructor. So that's why we had to add this constructor. We had messages in the queue that couldn't be deserialized, so we added these to deserialize them, but we didn't then try to create new ones. What a mess. If I had somebody who was really good at React, it would be useful to help me understand what I could have done to avoid this. All right, so this at least gives us an error-ish thing, so it looks like it tried to do something. Define property, awesome. So I can undo the change that I did to get rid of this and this. So those values are actually there. There we go. So we actually handled it, and now PHP's message consumer over here died because it doesn't know what to do with this. So undefined property, timestamp UTC. Joe's mentioning reaching out to one of the React devs. I've actually talked to him a couple of times on things, so I'll have to do that to get some feedback on this. I think this was a problem maybe because, no, I'm wrong. No, it is. So this was because the first message was an issue because we weren't yet, what's the word? The first issue was because we needed to restart the consumer to be aware that this value was there again, and then once we did that, now we're getting the error that I would have expected. So we're actually getting annoyed because we aren't giving a value for author display name, which is something that I had said couldn't be null. But we're not going to do that now. So we're going to have to switch the actual objects. We'll go to session chat message. And let's see, so we've essentially gotten rid of these two columns, which is the main problem that we have here. So I'm going to generate a diff. All right, so we're going to get this now. And this should remove the columns we need. So there's a couple of these that are weird. So we want to drop author display name and author display avatar. And then on the other side, we're going to have to do not null. We're not going to be able to reverse this. I think default null. There we go. So reversing this migration won't actually return it to its original state, but I think I'm fine with that because I don't actually expect to do the downs. The problem is if you go from a null allowed column to removing it, and then on the way back adding it as not null again, if you have any rows at all that don't have a value, you'll have a problem and they'll all not have a value because that column hadn't existed before. That's one of the things that the migration code doesn't really warn you about very well. So we're going to migrate. All right, so now we no longer have those columns that we don't really need. Let's see here now. Two messages. All right, so it's actually picked up a couple of messages here. So let's go ahead and open database. Find me later. All right, so it looks like this is my ID, and this looks to be Joe's. So we've switched now, which we can't really do anything about it, but all of the live development code that we've been tracking before had author IDs that were just the username. But now we can see that they're actually storing the actual ID. So I think we have most of what we need here now. This junk data, I think I'm going to delete. Here we go. And then what this means is that on the presentation side, either using a read model or doing some sort of data augmentation when we actually generate the list of chat messages per session, we need to translate this author ID back into a display name and then also get the avatar for the user. And by doing it this way, if Joe changes his avatar tomorrow, it means that we'll be able to get the newer avatar more easily. We might do some caching or some things like that, so we'll kind of wait on that for now. But we are actually storing the data in a way that makes sense. We also have the bot doing the thing the bot's good at, and we have the consumer doing the things to actually process these messages and actually store them in the database. Let's do one more just to see it still works. Yep, so let's try one more time. Cool. Awesome, so we have these two things working, which is good. One of the things that we were doing with the, let's just go here, let's go to the Twitch driver. One of the things that we were doing is translating the Twitch login to ID. One of the things I'd like to do is handle some caching stuff. So right now it's making this request every time. So if I say like 10 times, or if I say something 10 times into IRC chat, it's going to do the lookup every single time. That actually counts against my API limit quota. It's also not very smart and elegant. So what I think I'm going to do is create a cache So deferred. Let's do username to ID map. And let's use this, and let's see if we can actually work on this through this little bit of code here. So we've moved everything related to this lookup to this function, which is able to do things in the background. We're using a deferred, we're using the browser object to go do some stuff, and then we return a promise. So what we can do, let's say if array key exists, username in this, we can do deferred resolve username. I'm pretty sure we can do that. So this still uses, lets us do this bit here where we'll say, go do this thing and then do this following bit after the fact. We still get to do that. It's just that we don't have to do any asynchronous code. Likewise, we need to store this. We'll do user. I guess we need to use username. Author ID. So the thing that I'm not doing is handling the cache. So if Joe changes his name to something else, and then I change my name to Joe, or Joe's previous username, this would probably do some weird things. So what I think I'm going to do is say every time the stream goes offline, let's change user ID map to empty. So that will make sure that this hopefully doesn't run out of control. So go ahead and run it. Let's put some debug code in here. Here, let's say print getting from cache. Okay. All right, so it got the right ID. Doesn't look like it said anything about a cache. All right, so now it still has the same ID. Getting from cache. Cool. So this time it didn't actually have to go to IRC. So this was something that I wanted to make sure that we could handle a little better. So I'm going to clean up my little bits of code here that are printing stuff all over the place, because that's just going to be good. Print our and then we'll run it one last time from scratch. Cool. And then bot, I think I had some prints in here. This actually, I'm just going to inline this again, now that I know what the problem was. Okay, there's no more prints. Oh, there was a print in here. Configure loop. All right. I'm going to stop the consumer. Bots stopped. Bin console. There we go. All right, so we're seeing this debug information because I actually have -vvv enabled, so that makes sense. Oh, looks like Joe says the stream buffered, but now it's back. So that's all being stored correctly. Let's double check. Yeah, cool. All right, so it looks like everything's working, even though we have everything turned off. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's see here. What can we do in like 5 minutes that would be useful? I think maybe I want to create a service to have Twitch automatically reconnect. So let's go back here. Rather than having the app OAuth credentials repository, because this is a really low level, I think what I want is a class to handle that. So let's go look at Twitch app. So we have the app API already. Don't know if I want this. Just as they're in my Twitch, but also in your database. Yep, that is true. Because we already have this try with refresh thing. But it's a protected function. I could call get number of viewers. Twitch API, get live streams. I could do get webhook subscriptions. But we're not doing that. Okay. You know, I wonder. So we get this here. We need to force a refresh. So maybe I'll just try that. The Twitch API factory. This is probably too messy to try and do right now. Thing to do. I suppose we could hack it. This is going to be really nasty, but let's do it anyway. So we are going to need to do try with refresh. What we're going to get passed in return. This is so dirty. We need to return this value because that is what is going to trigger the refresh to happen. Refresh. What gets passed into thing to do? Twitch API and app OAuth credentials. All right, so that's going to be what we get here. $counter, new standard class. So if counter 0, return this. Otherwise, return app OAuth credentials. Get access token. So the first time through, counter value is going to be 0. It's actually going to set the value to 1 and return status 401. Otherwise, it's going to have an updated app OAuth credentials with a new access token. So this should mean that we can take AppTwitchApi object instead of this. All right, and then do these AppTwitchApi, AppTwitchApi. Don't need app OAuth credentials anymore because we just needed the access token anyway. Let's open this. There we go, and then we can go ahead and not even do that. This. There we go. Super dirty, but let's see how this works. So let's go ahead and go to table. So Twitch QX9. Cool, so it actually refreshed it. The other thing we could do is to make it a little smarter. And right now we have an expires at. So we can if value equals to 0, fail it. If app OAuth credentials get expires at less than now. Do greater than now, and we'll say so this way if it's still valid, then we won't even bother getting a new access token. I don't want to kind of force refreshing every time. I think this is probably a little safer. So let's see here. So let's see, legal string offset status. What did I do wrong? Get expires at is greater than now. Okay. So some of this stuff that I did before was kind of questionable. Return RV data. Actually, let's call this access token. Define index status. Define index data. Should have left it where it was. Of course. I literally just changed that. All right, so GPY, so it's going to keep using that. Okay, cool. So I think this is going to make me happy for now. We'll see if this actually works as advertised. But I do like the fact that it's not going to keep rotating this until it actually has been expired. One of the other things I kind of like to do is to say, well, I can actually fake it here, so I can do 1 day. So this should actually cause it to rotate. Yep. So I'm going to say plus 1 hour. So this will let it refresh it a little early if it needs to. It's greater than now. Wonder if this needs to be UTC. So we have 111. Okay. The first one is the expiration time. So this isn't actually 111, 315. Expires at. I'm doing this in the wrong direction, maybe? Time math is always not fun. Y3. All right, so that's actually not changing. So if we do that, it does, I believe. No, it's still not. Okay, I think this was right. Let's do plus, what's my UTC offset? All right, so 6. So I should be able to do plus 5 hours. Did that refresh? Yeah, it did. It is. Okay, now it's not. All right, so because we have date that it will expire, and we want to make sure it's less than now. All right, so I'm just changing numbers at this point. I don't think I'm doing it right. Okay, so, all right, so it looks like we only have a 3-hour. Looks like this, if this is current time, UTC, this is 3 hours later, so I should be able to go up to 2 without refreshing, and if I go to 3, it should cross over. Oh, almost. Looks like 4. Okay, cool. All right, so plus is what we're looking for. I'm going to say we'll do plus 10 minutes. And then we'll be done for today. Okay, cool. So it looks good. Awesome. So let's do